Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Shifty's 49ers Talk. In this video, we're going to do my Week 18 power rankings, the second to last power rankings that I will be doing for the 2022 season. As usual, guys, I'm going to do the top 10. I'm also going to do the bottom 3. Now, of course, this week is going to be a little bit different. Just a heads up. So what I've done is I've actually kept both Cincinnati and Buffalo at the same spot that they were last week. Didn't think it was fair to move either team up or down. But anyways, let's not waste any more time, guys. Let's jump right in. So we are going to kick off with the bottom 3 teams. And third from the bottom, guys, I actually have the Houston Texans. They're 2-13-1 on the year. To me, they had a really bad loss against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Just absolutely clobbered. Now, I still don't want to mitigate the fact that they played a lot of good teams in recent weeks. They played them really tough, but that game was brutal. And you'd think of any of these games they would play tough. Maybe it's that division game. They were at home, but they just got destroyed. So they're back in my bottom 3, third from the bottom. Now, coming in at second from the bottom, I'm going to have the Indianapolis Colts at 4-11-1 on the year. They've just been a complete disaster. They've lost 6 games in a row. They were a mess against the New York Giants. There's no other way to put it. And I just don't really know where this team goes from here. Offensively, believe it or not, the Colts are actually the second worst offense in the NFL in terms of scoring points. They really have no quick path to success moving forward, in my opinion. It's going to be a huge offseason in Indianapolis. A lot of changes coming up is what I expect. Now, coming in at number 32 in my power rankings, and I'm going to have the Chicago Bears. 9 losses in a row, worst in the NFL, and this team is a complete disaster. Their defense is the worst in the NFL, in my opinion. They have the 3rd worst point differential. Fields is not going to be playing in Week 18, and he can't do it all himself. The Bears, and luckily, look, they're going to have a very high draft pick. They're going to have a lot of money to spend in free agency. So I'd like to think that next year, this Bears team should look very differently. However, I don't think it'll all be done in one offseason. But to me right now, the Bears are the worst team in the NFL. Now, 2 teams who I would say are very close to that are going to be the Arizona Cardinals and the Broncos. They are almost in my bottom 3 teams in the NFL. Now, coming up next, guys, I'm going to have my top 10 teams in the NFL. 2 teams who, for me, were so close to making the top 10 are the Baltimore Ravens and the Detroit Lions. The Ravens, I've said it weeks on end, they just need Lamar Jackson back. They do have their playoff spot secured, which is good for them, of course, but the status of Lamar is still a little bit up in the air. But if he can play in the playoffs, that will be a tough out for any team that they would face. The Lions, they've been playing really good football. They just had a huge win as well last week. Now, moving into our top 10, and at number 10, I'm moving down a number of spots. I'm going to have the Minnesota Vikings, 12-4 on the year. Really bad loss to Green Bay. They lost 41-17, just didn't look good at all. The game was pretty much over at halftime. They got a couple of kind of garbage time points towards the end of the game, but they are really struggling lately. And here's the thing. Although they're 12-4, the crazy thing is on the year, they actually have a negative point differential. So really shows that like the games that they're winning, very close wins. The games that they're losing, they're getting blown out. And we saw it happen against Detroit. We saw it happen against Green Bay. We saw it happen against Dallas. And yeah, concerning times for them. And one of the things that they can do is they're playing against Chicago in Week 18. So they still have a shot at the number 2 seed if the 49ers lose, but they really need that game as a get-right game because you don't want to go into the playoffs just really being, having multiple losses in a row and just kind of feeling down on yourself. Now, moving in to number 9, the first time in my power rankings in I don't know how long, are the Green Bay Packers. Now, the Packers, 8-8 on the year, but they've been on a tear lately. 4 wins in a row. And here's the thing too, in those last 4 games, the defense only allowing 17 points per game. So the defense is really starting to be as advertised and as we expected all year long. Of course, the offense is rolling, their run game is great, and you really see just the emergence of, Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs and, getting Lazard and Cobb and all these guys involved that Aaron Rodgers can throw to. And overall, you have to say that the Green Bay Packers might be that wild card team that you don't want to play against them. They would be a very scary team considering their defense, their quarterback, their run game, and just the success that they're having. They are on a tear right now. Now, moving into number 8 this week, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars, also at 8-8 on the year. They actually have 4 wins in a row. The defense for the Jaguars playing really well. If you look at their last 2 games, they've only given up 6 points. Now, look, when you look at the teams, they're not the best teams that they played against. However, I don't care who you're playing in the NFL. If you can go 2 games and only give up 6 points total, that is a recipe for success. Trevor Lawrence in recent weeks has been playing really well, although he didn't play that great last week, but the run game really stepped up. And I would definitely encourage you guys to check out Travis Etienne's numbers on the year. Over 1,100 rushing yards, 5.2 yards per carry. Really impressive stuff there. And that's another team that's been playing really well. They have a huge game against the Tennessee Titans this weekend. Whoever wins goes into the playoffs. That is going to be a fun one. Now, coming in at number 7 in my power rankings, I have the LA Chargers, 10-6 on the year. Just like the last 2 teams, they've won 4 games in a row. Just like the last 2 teams, the defense has been playing really well, only giving up 11 points per game in the last 4 games. Strange. It's like you play good defense, you have good quarterback play, and you win a lot of games. Who would have thought it? But something that's been really kind of unheralded, I think, or something that's been kind of going unnoticed is just how good Austin Eckler has been for the LA Chargers. You combine that with getting healthier on defense, Herbert slinging the ball, and it's, the Chargers are a team that are really surging, and just like a lot of these other teams, they're really coming alive at the end of the season. Now, we know the Chargers have a tendency to do Charger things, but maybe this year will be the exception. Can't wait to see them in the playoffs this year. And coming in at number 6, and by far the lowest I've had this team in my power rankings, are the Philadelphia Eagles. 13-3 on the year. They've had 2 losses in a row. Now, of course, that's without Jalen Hurts, and he is supposed to play against the New York Giants this weekend, and the Giants, by all accounts, are going to be resting a lot of their starters as they have nothing to gain or lose from this Week 18 game. But we'll see. I mean, Jalen Hurts, will he be a little bit rusty? Is he fully healthy? We know shoulder injuries, they can linger a little bit. So a lot of questions for Philadelphia, and the defense has been a little bit sketchy the last couple of weeks. So they definitely want to figure that out. Now, coming up next, guys, I have my top 5 power rankings. And coming in at number 5 and staying in the same spot as last week are the Cincinnati Bengals. And I'm just going to, leave it till I get to Buffalo at number 1, spoiler alert, and we'll kind of cover that game. But Cincinnati going to stay at 5 in my power rankings, really because there was no game last week and nothing really to digest or to delve into per se. But looking at number 4 now, and I'm going to have the Dallas Cowboys really just playing good football, especially the last couple of weeks. Big win over Philadelphia. They beat Tennessee, and Tennessee were at home in a short week, and they really needed a win. Now, of course, Tennessee were down to QB number 3, but still, I think it was a really impressive win by the Dallas Cowboys. They also get those extra few days of rest before Week 18. It's possible even that Dallas could move into the number 2, number 1 seed if things fall their way at the end of this end of Week 18. But I think the one concern that I have with the Cowboys is the defense has been great all year, but the last few weeks it's definitely struggled. So you'd like to see them Week 18 just have a shutdown game and really go into the playoffs with a lot of momentum. Now, coming in then at number 3, guys, I'm going to have the Kansas City Chiefs, 13-3 on the year. 4 wins in a row, and the Kansas City Chiefs, look, their offense is an absolute machine. Jerick McKinnon. So what Jerick McKinnon is doing with Kansas City is what the 49ers envisioned doing with him when they brought him in a number of years ago. Of course, that didn't really work out, but Jerick McKinnon playing great football, and there's just too many weapons to stop. Now, the big thing with the Chiefs, and I think what's been a little bit better for them, is the fact that they're playing better defense. You know, their defense has been stepping up. George Karlaftis, rookie edge player out of Purdue, he's been playing a lot better. And here's the interesting thing about Kansas City, is that on the year, they've lost 3 games. Those 3 games they've lost were by a combined 10 points, only 10 points. How crazy is that to think? So Kansas City, I mean, you could definitely make an argument for them as being the best team in the NFL right now. And coming in at number 2, we're going to have the San Francisco 49ers. We are 12-4 on the year, 9 wins in a row. Now look, I'm not going to, beat around the bush here. We had a really tough game against the Vegas Raiders. The defense really, really struggled, and that's absolutely a cause for concern. Now, for me, I do think that they'll be able to rectify that in Week 18 against the Cardinals, and that'll really get that momentum going into the playoffs. But some other big questions are really starting to get answered here. Brock Purdy playing really, really good football. Players getting healthy. Elijah Mitchell coming back. Deebo Samuel coming back. Javon Kinlaw's been back. We have a number of players, possibly Kevin Givens too. So this team very much getting healthy at the right time. The quarterback play has kind of figured itself out, and Christian McCaffrey is an absolute stud. So there we go. Niners, right now, I have them as the number 2 team in the NFL. And at number 1, we have the Buffalo Bills at 12-3. Now the game has officially, between the Bills and the Bengals, we all know what happened, and a lot has been said, and of course prayers out to Damar Hamlin. But what I do want to say with this game, it's officially, they're not going to replay it, nothing like that. I would encourage anyone to check out Adam Schefter's tweets, because he basically outlined all the different scenarios that could play out with regards to seeding in the AFC. But to me, I just can't take Buffalo out of the number 1 spot, considering we didn't really see, of course, what happened on Monday Night Football. But, of course, the football world was hit tragically by that incident. And, again, prayers up for Damar Hamlin. Can't say that enough. And it sounds like things are going pretty well, so hopefully he can stay on the road to recovery. But there, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. Those are my power rankings. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We're, of course, going to be streaming games over the weekend. I'm going to have a preview video, possibly live stream out before the weekend as well. So stay tuned for that. And again, I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And then subscribe if you're new to the channel. Really appreciate it. Really helps me out. And then I'm going to leave it there. But 2 things before I go, you know what they're going to be. The butt counts. I'm going to catch you guys on the flip side.